Hey everyone, and thank you for watching today's episode of The Completionist. Today's video is brought to you by Bespoke Post, a monthly membership club that delivers top shelf goods from under the radar small businesses. Every month, they introduce new products based on your preferences, so you can expect about $70 worth of goodies for a fraction of that value from everything from outdoor gear to kitchen goods to clothing. You also get to preview your box before it's shipped, so you can make sure you're getting what you want, swap out items at no additional cost, or choose to skip that month entirely at no charge. When I perused Bespoke Post's offerings, I went with a Weekender bag from Line of Trade and a Day Trooper cooler bag from Ren, because of as much as I like to curl up at home with the video game, I'm also out a lot all over the place, and I thought I'd give it a shot. All right, so Bespoke Post sent me the Weekender. It's this cool little bag right here. I'm gonna see how much of my merch I can actually fit in it. I love those classic bags that kind of collapse as you put stuff in and kind of, form a shape. I think it's just really cool. I really dig it. Let's see how much I can fit in here. It's got these really easy to use fasteners that you're probably familiar with. I'm a big fan of that personally, just because I'm that monster that just likes to throw stuff in a bag like so and have it not fit. Ooh, look at that. Clean and simple. Can't go anywhere without our frog in the carboy. And of course, a hat. Bada bing, bada boom. And there we have it. Easy to use. Adjustable strap. Good to go. All right, this is the chill box that I got from Bespoke Post. This thing can hold up to 23 liters of liquids in here. Here we go. Cool thing off the bat, you might notice, we have a bottle opener right here. Pretty rad. It has its own little sheath cover. Its own little area that it goes. Big fan of that. Big fan of that. And store some other things up here. Another zipper access. Here's the main bag. Got plenty of ice in here already. Got some sodas, some popsicles, because I'm a child. This bag can fit a lot. It's got that cushiony feel so that I know that if it's got ice or soda or any food in here, that even if it's compressed from the outside, it feels like it's gonna be protected. It's got this nice, thick structure to it that I'm a big fan of. And then of course, you've got an extra bag in the front, little bag pocket. For anything, I'll probably like utensils or little snacks, anything like that. Yeah, that's chill. But Bespoke Post isn't just for the guy on the go. You could also pick up the Hecho box, which features a do-it-yourself hot sauce kit, an artisan-made molcajete, and a stainless steel taco rack holder. Or indulge yourself in some green thumb activities with the Rooted box, which gives you 3 choices of plant options, as well as coming with pot mixing, lava rocks, and a ceramic planter. So, if you want to sign up for Bespoke Post today and get 20% off your very first box, click the link in the box down below and enter code Completionist20 on checkout, or simply go to bespokepost.com/completionist20. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the show. I love sharing co-op games with my friends. Some of my favorite gaming memories are the camaraderie of running through an old school game, cheering each other on, and coordinating a strategy together. Contra 3 and TMNT Turtles in Time immediately jump out to my mind when thinking about that type of experience. However, there are some hidden gems that accomplish that same feeling just as well, if not better, such is the case with Gunstar Heroes. Hey everyone, and welcome back to an all-new episode of The Completionist New Game Plus, the show where I am recompleting the first 120 games I ever featured here on my channel. Now, my journey here on the channel has allowed me to replay dozens of classic games, and even discover some hidden gems along the way that I missed out on, right? Today's game, Gunstar Heroes, falls right into that latter camp. This is an awesome 90s shoot 'em up, but I had no idea what it was until Proton Jon introduced it to me. Speaking of Jon, where is he? We were supposed to recomplete this masterpiece together again, and he left me like a coffee-stained note a couple weeks ago. I actually haven't seen him. Jon? Proton Jon, hello? Jon?
Gunstar Red, I repeat, Gunstar Red, come in, we have an emergency.
Oh, there you are, man. Ladies and gentlemen, my really good friend Proton Jon.
I don't know who this Proton fellow is, but I am under attack right now. Gunstar Red, I need your help.
Jon, are you all right, man?
Look,
I didn't have enough time to get the right costume ready, alright? It was kind of a rush. But I thought we were still doing this one in character, dude. Come on.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Gunstar Red reporting for duty. Oh no! The evil Colonel Red has collected all of the mystical gems and is gonna take over the world. Ah!
And the battle continues. This could turn it all around. This bout will determine who is the strongest once and for all.
Proton Jon and I met pretty early on in my channel's life, and we hit it off immediately. However, it was Gunstar Heroes that truly crystallized our friendship. We were talking about collaborating for an episode of The Completionist for a while, and Jon recommended Gunstar Heroes, which, at the time, I had never even heard of.
And honestly, that's totally understandable. Gunstar Heroes was developed by the studio Treasure and originally released on the Sega Genesis back in 1993. And while it was a critically well-received game, it only sold 200,000 units outside of Japan. Well, that number kind of sounds impressive. For perspective's sake, Disney's Aladdin, which came out the same year, sold 9 million units in 1993. That is a ton.
Sales competition was stiff when you had to go up against Prince Ali, Fabulous He. And on the surface level, it wasn't as outlandishly eye-catching as other gaming mascots from the 90s. Sonic the Hedgehog, Crash Bandicoot, and Spyro were way more distinct than the guy dressed in blue and his brother in red.
The plot of the game didn't really help the game's case either, unfortunately. The evil Colonel Red stole the mythical gems and was gonna use them to reactivate an apocalyptic android known as Golden Silver. And it was our job as the two heroes, Gunstar's Red and Blue, to fight against his army of reprogrammed helper droids to reclaim the gems and save the day. Cliché as all heck.
Wait a minute, the plot is just a combination of Sonic the Hedgehog and Mega Man.
Look, dude, don't even worry about the plot. It's completely different in the Japanese version anyways. In that version, they've got a god of ruin that succeeds in destroying most of the Earth generations before the game even occurs. There's time travel, reincarnation, cyclical loops. It's wild. But at the end of the day, though, the happenings of Planet Gunstar are really just a reason for us to run and gun. That's it. And that's honestly all the game needs. It's a fast-paced, side-scrolling adventure game with a barrage of enemies that you need to take down on every screen. Plus, there's a ton of unique mechanics that make the game really stand out, even in the run-and-gun genre.
When Jon and I first played this game on the show back in 2013, we did 2 playthroughs on the PS3. Once on normal difficulty so I could learn the ropes, and then again on expert.
It was a pretty straightforward playthrough. No secrets or obscenely difficult challenges outside of, well, the main game.
Most of the trophies were also just tied to progressing and beating the game. A couple of the trophies required a little bit of extra work, but nothing had us grinding for hours. It also helped that Jon knew this game inside and out. So by the end, we gave Gunstar Heroes a well-earned completed. This time around, we completed Gunstar Heroes on the Xbox 360 through online co-op. The completion criteria was the same as before. This time around, we just went straight through expert mode. There was some also additional cleanup to get those last few trophies, but luckily they weren't anything too egregious, and could be picked up in a quick easy mode run through. That made for 2 full playthroughs, with the last one being a nice little victory lap.
And although the completion criteria checklist wasn't long, that didn't mean Gunstar Heroes was an easy game to beat. As an unintentional additional challenge, the Xbox Online and PSN versions didn't allow us to save our campaign or revive mid-stage, which meant we had to beat it in one long go without sharing health. It was no small feat, but with a couple of run-and-gun veterans like us, it was far from impossible.
Jumping back into Gunstar Heroes again was a nostalgic treat, which is weird to say since it's not a game from my childhood. It looks and sounds like a Genesis game, and I mean that in the best of ways, of course. Aside from the bosses, which I'll get to later, the visuals aren't super iconic in the same way famous games like Sonic the Hedgehog were. Same went for the music. The tunes did their job to set the tone, but they weren't burned into my brain the same way that Chemical Plant Zone was. And although the presentation didn't have staying power, it was more than enough to get me dialed in and enjoying the gameplay. There's plenty of fun to be had running and gunning on your own, but a true co-op companion can elevate the experience like no other. And it certainly doesn't hurt when your co-op companion is Proton Jon, who I always look forward to playing games with any time I can.
Aw, the feeling's mutual, buddy. And a campy playthrough of Gunstar Heroes is absolutely perfect for co-op. Like other games in the run-and-gun genre, it's non-stop action, mowing down enemies and dodging their bullets straight to the finale. We jumped right into expert mode and got completely destroyed. Oops. Like I said, this game is no pushover. You'd think because it's called Run and Gun that it's pretty simple, right? All you gotta do is run and gun, but Gunstar Heroes is way more complex than that. In our first outing, we made solid progress, but there was a lot of little things that we didn't quite take the time to properly refamiliarize ourselves with, so we paid the price for it. We managed to make it pretty far on the first attempt, but we were at it for a while and we ran out of steam during the final major gauntlet. Called it a night, and then a few days later we booted up the game again, but this time we did a bit of practice and research before going in.
And it was well worth it to do that with research beforehand. Gunstar Heroes was a lot of nuanced choices that really sets it apart from other shoot-'em-ups. First off, there's the option of 2 different fighting modes: free shooting and fixed shooting. Free shooting means we had to move in the direction that we were firing. Fixed shooting, on the other hand, means you must stop running in order to shoot. This meant that even though we were playing the same game, John and I had to approach each level very differently.
Plus, there are 4 different gun types, each with their own unique parameters. You can also combine 2 gun types to create a brand new effect if you want to. For example, combining Lightning and Chaser gets you a super fast homing attack, or if you combine 2 fire guns, you get a massive flamethrower.
Going in, even in the most recent playthrough, I expected there to be optimal builds that would just carry us through the entire game, but the guns are pretty well balanced. You can't just grab the highest DPS combination and tear through every single stage. Each combination has its own risks and rewards, so it really pays off to have an understanding of each encounter to know what gun works best for that level.
That meant we had 14 different gun possibilities, and they played differently between fixed and freestyle combat. But even on top of all the weapon options, we both had a grab attack we could use to throw enemies or each other, and we had a mid-air melee move that could do heavy damage. The devs managed to take a few simple mechanics and combine them all in really compelling ways, and honestly, all the combat pieces really fell together and really felt their strongest during the boss fights.
Yes, now I love the boss fights. Each of them are unique, both in their challenges and appearances. The most memorable has to be 7 Force. On top of being a grueling battle with multiple phases, the fight had us riding on the walls. We had to be coordinated in our wall flipping so as to not get in each other's way. In total, there are about 27 different bosses and mini-bosses that all managed to feel pretty distinct. There's a fight on a plane with a buff guy named Orange, a battle against a giant mech named Pink Rotor, and a lot of weird nightmare-fueled bosses like Melon Bread. Why is Melon Bread just 2 eyes, a clown nose, and teeth? Real-life Melon Bread is delicious and the exact opposite of this monstrosity here. He doesn't do damage, but he's still a menace. What is the correlation between these 2 things? I do not understand.
But even these weird bosses are more than just spectacle. They've all got unique attack patterns and gimmicks that we needed to learn. Bravu Man's probably the perfect example. He looks like this easy, weird block dude, but he actually has a move that heals him back to full health. So we had to make sure that we actually killed him in time, otherwise the fight basically reset.
There's also a dice maze that has a gauntlet of unique mini-bosses like the aforementioned Melon Bread. We ran the chance of encountering them depending on how we rolled. It could have been a breeze, but unfortunately we did not roll well and ended up having to fight a bunch of tedious little gremlins like Minion Soldier and Pit. They weren't hard battles by any means, but they chipped away at our health we were trying to preserve for the boss of that stage.
Boss fights are definitely the highlight of the game, but each level itself has a lot to offer as well. Even without gimmicks like the dice maze, each of the levels are well designed, so no 2 stage really feels alike. For example, during the airship battle stage, one of us had to act as a shield while the other one was actually piloting the main ship. And then in another stage when we had to fight 7 Force, on top of dealing with all the different forms of the boss, we actually had to be flipping up and down on the ceilings and the walls to make sure we weren't getting in our own way and the way of the boss.
The final stretch of the game is a long gauntlet of bosses. A lot of them were goons we had seen before, but in a fresh new environment. The familiarity definitely helped us get through them though. We ended up dedicating 2 hours to these fights alone, however. There weren't a lot of health drops either, so we really had to learn their patterns and work together to take them down without losing too much health.
Just as a quick aside, having the final gauntlet framed in the villains' monitors they watched to storm their base didn't change how the game played, but it was a really cool way to present it. Watching them leave the scene to take their posts after we defeated their comrades did a lot to make the world feel a lot more alive.
By the time we reached the final boss with Golden Silver, we were a well-oiled machine. It took us a few tries, but once we got into that rhythm of calling out attacks and knowing when to throw each other at the gems to deal damage, we emerged victorious. After that, we had a few more achievements to take care of, so we hopped into easy mode to clean those bad boys up. Some of them were super small, like loading in with every weapon type, and getting a few specific rolls on the Dice Palace level. But because we had 2 late game bosses to check off the trophy list, it felt right to take a few extra minutes to wipe the floor with the boss one last time. If I had to boil this game down to one word, it would be tough.
these levels threw a lot at us at once, and if we weren't careful, it was really easy to take a lot of damage quickly. On top of that, because we were in multiplayer, despite our damage being dealt was reduced, there was no change to the damage we took. It required a lot of teamwork to make up that DPS deficit.
The weapon variety added a ton of depth to the game and kept it feeling fresh throughout. And because we couldn't share pickups like health and guns, communication was very much the key to it all. Throwing as well was one of the most important mechanics we ended up learning by the end too. It was an incredibly powerful tool that helped us take down the final boss, but if we weren't doing it right or weren't careful, we would end up throwing each other into damage instead.
I am so happy that Jon introduced me to this game all those years ago, and I am so glad we were able to come together again and beat it one more time.
Absolutely, dude. I love this game and I wish more people knew about it. While at the time, the presentation might not be considered as iconic as other games around that time, I still think it's really good. Even the soundtrack, while I love it, I get there's not very many earworms there and it's probably not gonna stick in most people's heads.
Facing off against Skinny M. Bison and something as ambiguous as Bravo Man may not have been quite as eye-catching as well-known villains like regular M. Bison and Eggman, but you can't judge a book by its cover. Gunstar Heroes does a lot to make their wacky characters fun to fight. When we recompleted Gunstar Heroes, there were
12 hours of total playtime,
2 full playthroughs, and 1 attempt that just ran too late into the night.
27 different bosses defeated,
and 1 melon bread that will forever just haunt my dreams.
There's enough complexity to this game for a rock-solid single-player experience, but if you have a friend to hop into a playthrough with you, I cannot recommend that enough. A big thank you to Proton Jon again for coming through with me and beating this game once again. Be sure to check out his YouTube, especially his Twitch page. So with that in mind, we still give Gunstar Heroes our completionist rating of complete it.
Complete it!